Hey guys, so I have Unity open on my screen here today, and we're going to be making a very basic and simple main menu screen. So, most people should know what a main menu screen is, but in case you don't know, it's basically the starting point of a video game or application. It allows you to select various options, and of course, in a video game, you want to be able to choose to start the game or quit the game. So, that's what we're going to be doing today. So, let's just get right into it. So, right now, I have this empty uh, I had this very basic empty Unity project. Um, I have two scenes here actually, so this is actually important to test the functionality of the main menu screen. I have this scene here called main menu, which is basically an empty scene, and then level 1 or level 01, which is basically an empty scene with a cube in it. The cube is just there to let us know that we're in the actual scene once we've loaded it through the main menu. So we're going to be working mostly in the main menu. So to get right into this, we're gonna make sure that our 2D view is turned on because we're gonna be working with the Unity Canvas system, which is primarily 2D elements. So if you right click on our hierarchy and go to the UI and then Canvas, let's just focus on that. This is where we're gonna be putting all of our main menu elements. Okay, so let's just right click on Canvas again, and then we're gonna make a panel. We're gonna call this panel background. You don't have to do this, but I like doing it to make differentiate it from different things that might appear in the main menu screen. So we're just getting rid of the source image because it's just a Unity default and it's not good looking. It looks very blurry when you stretch it out. And then we're just gonna change the color to like a gray, like a light gray color. I think this is good. And then put the alpha up so it's like a solid color. And then we're just gonna stretch it out a little bit so that it fits and kind of overflows the canvas so that we don't have any gaps showing when we load the game scene. Okay, so now we're going to start adding more elements. We're going to use text mesh, text mesh pro. This is going to be our title. Now, the reason why we use text mesh pro is because it's nicer looking and it doesn't look blurry when you make the elements larger, and it just works better. If you don't have the assets installed, when you run a text mesh pro object for the first time, it's going to tell you to install the assets. So just do that. It'll only take a few minutes or seconds. It's going to tell you to import the TMP essentials. So you just click on that, and then once it's done, just close out. So now that we have a title here, we're gonna just kind of like open up a little bit, and then we're just gonna put in. We can put whatever. I'm gonna put my game, and then and then we're just gonna put the font up, and then we're just gonna put the center, and then middle alignment, just so that everything's in the center of the object. Now, the most important thing is we wanted to do is in direct transform, we want to be able to anchor it to the top of the screen. So if you press and hold Shift and Alt and then click on the top center preset, it'll put the title on the top of the screen. Now, the reason why we do this is because when you change the resolution or screen size of the canvas or the game, this will keep the title or any element. Honestly, keep any element to that specific point of the canvas. It's anchored there, so it will stay relatively in that position. So I think it's fine up here for now. Now we're gonna add two more important elements is the buttons. So we're gonna go to the hierarchy, right click on canvas, UI, button, text mesh pro. And we're just gonna call it the start button. Now we're just gonna make it look a little bigger so we can see it. Bring it up. And then we're gonna change the text and we're gonna put start. And then we're gonna change the text to white color because we're gonna make the button black. So let's just get rid of the source image because it's a default Unity icon, and then just drag into black here, and now we have our black button, and we have a little give it a little transparency so that like you can kind of see it, and yeah. And now for the quit button, which is the easiest, all we have to do is just duplicate the start button, name this to quit button in the hierarchy, and then just change the text to quit, and that's our quit button. Oops, that was text element. And congratulations, we just made a main menu. This is basically the main menu screen of every Unity asset flip game on Steam, basically. So yeah, this is not going to work when you run it. It's going to do nothing because we haven't actually coded the functionality. Now, before we actually get into the coding part, we have to check to make sure that our scenes are in the build settings, because this is important because we're going to be using scene management to even go between scenes in the first place. So I already have them added here. If you want, you can just go to your assets folder and drag the scenes in here. Make sure the main menu is the first one because that's what we want to load first usually, and then whatever else that we want to load later is put after. And you can see in the index it starts with 0 and then it goes by 1 and increases by 1 every time. So we just close that out, and then what I like to do is I'd like to make an empty game object and call it level manager. And this is what we're using to go between different scenes in our whole project. So, and now we're going to make a script, a C# script, and call it, we're also going to call it level manager. Okay, so click on it and drag it in. Well, wait for it to compile first, then drag the script into the game object, and now we're going to edit it. Wait for it to load. Okay, cool. So we don't need any of this stuff in here right now, and we don't need to start an update, so we'll just get rid of that. On top of the using statements, we're going to add Unity, engine, and then scene management. Now that with this, we can have access to all the scene manager methods that we're going to be using for our main menu screen. So the first easy functionality is the quit button. So we're just going to do public void quit game, and then to quit our game, we're going to put application.quit. Now this is not going to work in the editor because you can't just quit a game in the editor. This will only work if when you build the game, of course. So once you build a game and run it off outside of the Unity editor, then the quit button will actually work. So we can just put that to the side for now. Now we're going to do the start game function. So there's actually different ways of implementing this. So if we just start with typing public void, and then we can call it whatever we want. I'm going to call it start game. Type scene manager dot load scene. This is technically where we're going to be using to load the scene of the next game, or the next in our game, of course. So you can say there's 5 overloads. That means that there's like 5 different ways to, or more 5 different ways to actually use this function. So the way that we're going to be using it is with a string reference. It's not the best way because let me just type in the level. We're going to be using level 0, 1. So the thing with string references is that if you don't type it exactly how it is, you can get errors and it leads to a lot of problems, and there's typically better ways of using load scene and loading your next game scene. But for now, we're just going to use a string reference for the sake of simplicity right now. So that's our start game function. And just so that we can go back to the main menu when we're in our game, I'm going to add a new function. I'm going to call it public void load main menu. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to type scene manager.load scene. Now I'm going to put main menu with capital M for both M's. And then the way we're going to get into that in our level is I'm going to do I'm actually going to put back the update function. And then once we do we're going to do an input, if statement for an input, get key down, keycode.escape. And then that will just call the load main menu function. So when we get into the level 1, we're going to press the escape key once we're in it so that we can go back to the main menu. So let's just save all of that. Now wait for everybody to compile, of course, and then, yeah, if you click play, of course, this is not going to run because we still have to wire up our buttons, of course. So if you go back to the canvas and go to start, let's go to the start button first. There's this box in the button component called on click. If you hit the plus sign, you can drag an object into there. That will give the button access to any public functions that we have. That's why we set the methods in the first place to be public. So if you go to now we have access to level manager, we can actually see our methods in here. So for start game, we're just going to click on start game. And then if we go to the quit button now, you can just do the same thing. Go to plus, drag the level manager object, and then quit game. Of course, it's not going to run, or it's not going to work in the editor because we're using the editor. It'll only work if your game is fully built. So we can actually save this now, and then let's actually, before we do this, actually, we're going to wire up our level 1 scene. So I made a prefab folder, and what we're going to do is we're going to drag into level manager, put it in a prefab folder. So we have a prefab of this. And now if we go to our level 1 scene and drag that prefab in there, our level manager's in our level 1 game, or level 1 scene. Just so that when we press escape key, we can actually go back to the main menu. So if we go back to the main menu real quick, just save everything, we can test it out now. So of course quit's not going to work. I'm clicking on it, nothing's happening. If I hit start, boom, into our level 1 scene. That's the cue that we put in there. Now if I press escape, we actually go back to the main menu. And that's basically it. That's the main menu. So this is just a basic framework of what you can do. You can add a lot more options. You can put an options button. There's just so much you can really do with this, right? Again, the quit button won't work unless you code, or the quit button won't work in the editor. You have to build and run the game. So I'm actually going to do that real quick just to demonstrate that it actually works when you build the game, of course. So I'm just going to pause it right here, and then I'm going to get back to this. So I actually just finished building the game, and it's actually already running. So our main menu doesn't look that great because we didn't really configure the elements to fit that well. I'm running on a 1080p monitor, so it looks a lot stretched out, or everything's kind of like spaced out. But we can test the functionality again, so we can hit start, and we're in our scene with the right cube. And then if we hit escape, we can go back to the main menu screen. Now the important thing, they want is the quit button. So if we hit quit, boom, our game's back into the editor. That's it. If you liked the video, give the video a like. And if you didn't, give it a thumbs down. If you have any thoughts or comments, just drop a comment down below and subscribe. I'll be making more videos like these. Thanks for watching.